Hello world, welcome to the 206th video on my channel where I'm building my own digital assistant named Shane, like Jarvis from the Iron Man movies and comics. Please consider subscribing to my channel, liking this video, and leave a comment below and tell me what your favorite dividend stock is. In the past 4 videos, I've been building my own dividend tracker piece by piece, ultimately leading up to a saved pandas data frame in Excel so I can use it to create my own Dividend App dashboard that looks very similar to a third-party app that you would have to pay for, or one that would just sell all your data to China. So in a second I'm going to run this dividend scraping code so you can see the pandas data frame being saved, and then we'll look at that together. And I've put links to each of the, I think, 4 videos in the description so you can follow along on how we built this piece to piece. But this part of it is not the focus of the video. The dashboard that we built in Plotly Dash is going to be the focus of this video. So remember, if you've been following along, we just start off with this simple Excel sheet right here that has all these stock symbols. Some of these are non-dividend paying stocks, and some of these are mutual funds. And then I have just put 1 share for each of these for the amount, just for the purpose of this video, because I'm not going to share what I have in each of these with my audience. Okay, so I'm going to run this right here, and it's going to take a minute, so I'll cut in a second. But basically it's going to print out all this stuff just so we can see it, and then it's going to save it to this Excel sheet, which I will show you in a second. So let me cut when it's done. Okay, the program has finished running. Took about 2 or 3 minutes. And we have this data frame. I printed it out just for myself for testing purposes, but it successfully finished. So let's go ahead and open that. I've called it dividend data. So let's open this up. And there we go. So we have an Excel sheet now that has the symbols that we had in the previous Excel sheet, the current value for each of these, the annual dividend, and then the dividend in the month it's going to pay out. All right, and so from here, now we can create our dashboard, which is the focus of this video. So I'm going to close this, close that. And so the inspiration before I run this was from a dividend investing group that I'm on. I'm on many, but this was one of them. And a member posted, hey, this is what my bank account looks like. This person's using a third-party app that costs $9.99 a month, which is not something I'm interested in doing, but this is what it looks like right here. So this was the inspiration. And then let me show you what ours looks like, mine looks like, before running through the code. Now this will take a lot less because it's just reading from our Excel sheet and not the internet. It's not going out to the internet and pulling all of that data. Okay, so this is what our dividend app looks like. So the total portfolio value with only 1 share of each of those symbols would be $1,477. The estimated dividends for that year is $42.15, and the estimated yield would be 2.85% on your total portfolio. And then here we have a bar chart for each month. So I would get $3.43 in January, $3.70 in February, so on and so forth. And this totals $42.15. So this is using Plotly Dash. And so my goal is to have just a huge dashboard for me every morning ready for me. And so I can have the dividend scraping code scrape every morning at 3 a.m. And then when I wake up, the dashboard will be ready for me. Other things I would like to add is some of my video game prices. I play a massive multiplayer online game. So I would like to see the prices when I wake up. So I'm pretty excited about this. Now let's go through the code. And I'm going to leave this up so we can refer to it frequently. So we'll need to import pandas as PD, import plotly.graph_objects as go, import dash, and then from dash import HTML and DC. This is the current way of importing HTML and DCC. If I wanted to import input and output as well. So you might see other dash tutorials that show you a different way to do it, and you'll get an error at the bottom. Just a warning telling you that those have been deprecated and to use it like this. So this is the current way to use HTML and DCC. So now we have the data frame. So pandas.readExcel, the dividend data. So we're going to create some variables now so we can use them later on in the actual HTML. So first, the portfolio value is the current value dot sum. So let me open this up real quick. Let me open this back up. So this is going to take the sum of this column right here, current value. And then the estimated dividends is going to be the sum of annual dividend. Then to get the estimated yield, we're going to divide the estimated dividends by the portfolio value. And then we're also going to store something called monthly dividends equals the data frame. And then we're going to pass it this tuple right here. So basically everything in between January and December. And we're going to take the sum of that. Okay, so we're going to take the sum of January here. Right? And if you remember, that was the $3.43 and February, and each one of those now is in this list that we've created right here, this monthly dividends. Then we're going to take the maximum y-axis value plus, I'm going to make it probably 500 or 200 on my personal one, but for this, I just said whatever the max is plus $5, and that way it gives us this nice upper bar chart. Because if you didn't do this, the top would be whatever the max amount was, which was 3.7. So you might have a 4. Oops, I just zoomed in on that. And so I just did this so that way it creates an upper bar. I think it looks cleaner like that. So that's the max value equals monthly dividends dot max. So it finds the max value, then adds $5 to it. So now we're getting into our actual dashboard, right? So first, app.layout equals html.div. So this is a boilerplate plotly dashboard right here. So HTML div, so html.h3, that's HTML3 and H2 are the size of the fonts, is going to be total portfolio value, and I want it gray. Default font is black, right? So then in a larger font, so H1 is the largest H fonts, H2 is smaller, H3 is even smaller. So we're going to put the $sign, the amount in there, however long to the left of that is, if this is $1 million. We're going to make it commas, so I want a comma like a typical dollar amount would be. Dot 2 places, you pass it the F, that's the format, right? Dot format equals portfolio value, which is right here, the current value sum. So this formats it for you automatically. So as you can see, we have the $sign that's in the beginning. We have a comma. If this was 1 million, we would have the 2 commas, of course. And then we only have 2 decimal places right here. That's what this does right here, this dot 2. That's how you format this. The default is color is gray or black, which is what I want, so I don't pass it a color. Same with estimated dividends. It will be this slightly smaller gray. Same, we're passing it the same format, but this time we're passing it the estimated dividends. And we're going to call that the left container. right? That's the class name. So we can refer to that as the left container. And the reason why I'm doing that, because I think once I add the other data that I want, I think I'm going to want the estimated yield to come up here somewhere, right? That way there's only two. So this monthly dividends can actually come up a little bit, and then I can have more data. But that's all the styling stuff that you can do. Then we have another HTML.div, very similar, estimated yield, gray, but this time it's just a dot, right? There's no dollar sign, dot to percentage, right? So I want a percentage this time. We're going to pass it the estimated yield, and I called it the right container. So the right container is, so in a second, or when I continue this, I could just put style. I don't know if you do justified or right, but either way, it'll move this estimated yield up here a little bit. Then we get into building the graph. So the HTML.div, we're going to pass it the dcc.graph. The ID, I just called it dividend chart. The figure is a go.figure. And then we're going to pass it all the data that it needs in a list here. Go.bar. So capital B for that. We're creating a bar chart. That's what this is, bars. So the X is going to be the index of the monthly dividends. The Y is going to be the values. The marker, you pass it a dictionary, color green, but we can pass so much more if we wanted to. But for now, I just need one thing, color green. And you can color that however you want. I just made it green based off of my inspiration. The width is 0.4. So that's the width of these bars. You can make it bigger or smaller. The default is quite large, right? There's minimal spacing. I didn't like that. And then, so that's the bar chart. That's all you need. The layout, the .go layout is just custom to make it based off of that inspiration. So I want the plot background and the paper background to be all white or transparent. So you pass it the RGBA 0000, which is all white, and that's so it's all white in this background, so everything behind this is white, and then everything in it is white. Then for the y-axis, show grid equals true. That's this right here, this grid, these grid lines. The grid color, you can pass it light gray. The range will be 0 to max value. Remember, this is where we put that extra $5 on there, and I'll put an extra $200 on when I put the real values in there. So the range is 0 to max value, 0 to the max value, which is this plus 5, right? 3.43 plus 5 is 8.43. The bar gap is 0.2 pixels, so that's the gap between the bars. If I showed you what the default was, you would see this little 0.2 pixels gap, and they're just too fat. I didn't like it. I like how it's only slightly over the month name. Okay. The title, right? This is, you can pass it a dictionary. So the text equals monthly dividends. And the font is gray. That way it matches everything else. This matches that. Even though this is a slightly lighter gray than this one. That's because this right here is an H3. So I think it's bold. And then this is not bold. So I can make that bold if I wanted to. The class name is main container. So if I need to refer to just the graph if I want to style it, is the main container. So you'll notice that this is real HTML, right? So the where these parentheses are and the square brackets are dictate everything. One missing comma, which you're not used to using in Python, can mess everything up. And so I'm not going to put this code available just yet. And I'll put more, I'll pin a comment describing this, but there's still a lot more stuff I want to do before I put this on here. So just be cautious if you're going along with me to make sure you close each dividend. If you're using PyCharm, if you go to the closing bracket, you'll see where it goes to. So if you have an error, then just find where you're not missing it. It gets a little hard when it's big, because when I click on this one, look at where the corresponding parenthesis is, all the way at the top. This closing bracket, similarly, all the way at the top, okay? So you can keep some good discipline here. Maybe that will help you, even though that square bracket doesn't line up with there, but it's just how it is. Then to run a plotly dash, if underscore name equals main, app.run server, debug true, that debug will give you errors down here. And if you put, if I had input and output where I was clicking on stuff, it would show you post and get, which is very important for testing. So I'm pretty excited about this. I plan to use it every morning. I will probably use Window Task Scheduler to schedule a task. If you don't know how to do that, I do it with my another program that I've done, and you can watch that video by clicking here to see how to set a Python program in PyCharm to run every morning or at a certain time. And that's it. So thanks for watching. Goodbye, world.